Alright, ladies and gentlemen, Baron here. So today we're looking at some more American armor. This is the second to last day, so tomorrow will be our last. I'm curious what we will get to see, but what we've seen so far is the M2 medium tanks the first day, the M16 half tracks the second day, and then the M4A1 with the 76mm gun yesterday. Today we're looking at the M41 Walker Bulldog. It's a light tank. It replaced the M24 Chaffee, armed with a 76mm gun. Now, at this time, American tanks were pretty much, named as a result of what size gun they used. Now, there were 90mm guns, which were medium tanks. 76mm guns were the light tanks, and then 120, 105 in that area were the heavy tanks. So, what's interesting about this tank is that we saw the M42 Duster the other day, which was armed with twin 40mm Bofors. And this was when I was covering the M16 half-tracks and kind of musing about what AAA, what self-propelled anti-aircraft armor the Americans would see. And I was thinking, I think it makes sense that we would see the M42 Duster. It was put out, around 1952. And if you think about the ZSU-57, which came out, in the mid-50s, it's well within the scope of the timeline. So I now am pretty sure we're going to get to see the M42 Duster with those twin 40mm Bofors, which one Bofors is able to fire 120 rounds per minute, so that's 2 per second, and then multiply that by 2. That's 4 40mm shells per second that you're able to put on a target. You're going to be able to bring down some planes with that thing. But, it would likely be a Tier 5 or late Tier 4 SPAA. So you're probably going to be dealing with some jets. So either way, you're going to have the fire rate to keep up with them if you get to see them. So I'm pretty excited for the M41 Walker Bulldog. It's going to be a pretty fun light tank. It's relatively fast at 45 miles per hour speed. And it's decently armored, I guess. But when you consider what it's going to be going up against, I'm not sure if there's if War Thunder's planning on implementing a scout, mechanic or something like that. But, it should be fun to drive this tank regardless. But I think it's going to be interesting to see how light tanks develop, in those later tiers and how playable they really are. But I for one, believe that the M42 Duster will be pretty fun. So another random thing is War Thunder birthday is happening today. War Thunder's 2-year anniversary, or they're 2 years old, their birthday, is happening today, and there's supposedly 5 rare planes that you can get. Yeah, so there's the HE-51 Hydro, the DB-7, and a LAG-3, the TB-3, and the XF-5F. And supposedly, if you just kill 5 enemy vehicles, 5 enemy planes, I believe, you get one of those. But it's going to be random, but I'm going to make some videos on that later. So, and then finally I want to wrap it up with the Super Sherman. When I covered Shermans yesterday, I kind of missed the Super Sherman. And this isn't likely to be in the game, but it's an interesting thought. The Israelis got a hold of a bunch of Sherman tanks. And then they took the French 75mm gun, the CN7550, which was actually developed from the Panther's 7.5cm KWK-42, and they strapped them on the top of these Sherman tanks. And they did this, they started messing around with them in 1954, and they entered service as the Sherman M50 in 1956, which is within the scope. And I think it may be an interesting idea for premiums. Now, I'm just advocating this idea because I'm a big fan of kind of reaching and looking outside of the norm for at least a decent amount of premium armor, so we don't get a lot of reskin stuff. But basically it would be similar to how the Germans have the captured KV-1 with their field gun in the KV-1's turret. So it's something like that, where it's a chassis in the game and then a different gun within the scope of the time frame, and that would basically be the Super Sherman, or the Israeli Sherman, the Sherman M50. It would have a gun that basically descended from the Panther's 7.5cm gun, which we already see in the game. So I think the Israeli Sherman would be great. It'd be a nice Tier 4 premium tank. I think it would be a lot of fun. It'd be cool to see it because it's an interesting modification to a tank that we're going to see in the game, and then a gun that we also see. It would effectively be, more or less, what they could do is the Sherman tank chassis, maybe a little up armored, because the Israelis did modify that, and then you put the Panther's gun on it. And then, as you can see here, I also showed the M41 Super Sherman, and this thing came out in the 1960s, which I believe is outside of the scope, so we probably won't see it. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, the Walker Bulldog, War Thunder's second birthday, and some fun musing about the Super Sherman from Israel. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Make sure to give the video some love, and let me know what American tanks you're looking forward to the most, and your thoughts on the M42 Duster and the Super Sherman.